Good morning from the National Weather Service office in Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm meteorologist Donald Jones with your Saturday morning update for the ice storm that is developing and impacting a large part of the southeastern United States. Now, I'm not wearing this jacket just because I'm feeling solidarity with everyone that's dealing with the cold. It is, in fact, extremely cold in the room that I am doing this broadcast in at the moment because our air conditioner is on the fritz. So, of course, it thinks it's August when in reality it's January. So it's like 59 degrees in here right now. So forgive the jacket, but nonetheless, we are going to press on and press through. Don't be surprised if I do this a couple of times during the broadcast. Overall, things have not changed a whole heck of a lot since we talked to you this time yesterday. We are still expecting significant amounts of ice accumulation across parts of central Louisiana and interior parts of southeast Texas. In fact, that is already ongoing kind of just north of the area we cover. In fact, we did get some reports. We've got an automated observing station in Jasper, Texas, and that was reporting some freezing rain about an hour ago. So it's kind of just now getting into central Louisiana. We've been looking at freezing rain ongoing across parts of North Louisiana through most of the morning. So areas up towards Monroe, Shreveport, those areas have been looking at several hours of freezing rain already. And that is resulting in some significant travel hazards already up that way. We are expecting that freezing line to gradually work its way south. We're going to see some sporadic reports of freezing rain likely through the afternoon and evening. But once those temperatures really approach freezing and start to fall below freezing, we're kind of in the upper 30s to right near 40 across central Louisiana right now. A couple of degrees more as those start falling back. We're going to start to see maybe some mix of some sleet in with the rain, and then eventually that transition over to freezing rain as we go through the evening. And the rain we're seeing out there right now, in fact, let me go ahead and see if I can pull the radar up real quick for you. There it is to give you an idea of what we're looking at. Let me see if I can put this into motion. That would be much better, wouldn't it? So there we go. You can see we've got quite a bit of rainfall out there. Some of this is actually pretty heavy that we've seen this morning. Now, the heavy rain is all liquid precipitation. That's not freezing rain. Generally, we don't get heavy freezing rain, but you can see some of those reports up further to the north across North Louisiana, the little boxes there. That is reports of freezing rain and sleet. So you can see it's not too far off our doorstep here, just north of the Alexandria area. But most of this activity, if not all of it right now that you're seeing on this particular radar screen, is liquid precipitation right now. And some of it is heavy. In fact, the Weather Prediction Center does have us in a marginal risk. That's a very low risk of some flash flooding to go along with our freezing rain threat. So just add that to the pile of hazards we're expecting over the next couple of days. That's important to keep in mind because all of this liquid rain that's falling right now, if it puddles on area roadways, if it puddles in your yard, if it puddles on your porch, your sidewalk, whatever the case may be, as those temperatures fall below freezing tonight, that water is going to freeze. So it may be liquid now, but it is going to freeze as we go overnight tonight because we're looking at a long duration of below freezing temperatures. So keep in mind the ice may not necessarily just come from the freezing rain, but also from the liquid rain now that is going to freeze later on tonight. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind as we go through the day. And we are going to struggle to get above freezing for really the next couple of days. So any ice that accumulates either via freezing rain or via liquid freezing overnight, that is going to stick around for likely through at least Monday afternoon, possibly even into Monday night. I think by Tuesday, we're going to get above freezing for an appreciable period of time. But until that point, we are going to be looking at temperatures close to, if not below freezing, once they drop below freezing here tonight. So graphic behind me here just kind of illustrates a lot of what I was just talking about there. Let me go ahead and move forward here. We do still have this ice storm warning. This is in effect. This is where we're expecting around 1/4 of an inch, between 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, maybe even a little bit more across parts of central Louisiana. You are under this ice storm warning. So Tyler, Hardin, Jasper, and Newton counties in southeast Texas, Vernon, Rapides, and Avoyelles parishes in central Louisiana, as well as Beauregard, Allen, and Evangeline parishes. You are in this ice storm warning. In fact, it is the first ice storm warning that this office has ever issued. So that's interesting. We have had some winter storm warnings before, but this is the first ice storm warning that has ever been issued by the Lake Charles Weather Service office. Along the I-10 corridor, we're expecting somewhat less overall ice accumulations. You are under a winter weather advisory. That's where we're expecting generally 1/10 of an inch or less of ice accumulation. The difference is it's not huge, but it is important in terms of the potential impacts. So we're not expecting huge, widespread road closures and power outages. There will probably be some sporadic power outages, and some roads will need to be closed along the I-10 corridor. But the higher overall risk is going to be further to the north across central Louisiana. So northern Jefferson County, all of Orange County, Calcasieu, Jeff Davis, Acadia, Lafayette, St. Landry, and Upper St. Martin, you are under that winter weather advisory. And that goes until 6 p.m. tomorrow. So once this, this precipitation is going to stick around from essentially now through tomorrow evening. Now, not all of it's going to be frozen. We're going to be looking at most of it being liquid through this afternoon. But by the time we get to about 4 or 5 p.m., those temperatures start dropping below freezing. That's when we're going to see that transition over to freezing rain. So want to be off the roadways by this evening, by sunset this evening. That's kind of when the ice is really going to start to potentially accumulate across the region. We also, in addition to the ice threat, we have extreme cold heading our way. If you didn't notice, it's cold outside. Got it on to prove it. So we are looking at a cold weather advisory in effect. This is for this is mainly for the wind chills, which are going to be down in the teens here as we go through tonight into tomorrow. But the coldest air we're going to see is actually going to be Sunday night into Monday, and again Monday night into Tuesday. So we actually have another product for that called an extreme cold warning. This is when we're expecting wind chill values in the single digits, okay? And that is for the entire area. So the entire area is under an extreme cold warning, both Sunday night into Monday, and then again Monday night into Tuesday. You see this goes until 11 a.m. on Tuesday. And we issue an extreme cold watch or warning when we're expecting those temperatures or wind chills in the single digits. So 10 degrees or less away from the immediate coastline, and 15 degrees or less right along the immediate coastline, which we are expected to get to both Sunday night into Monday and again Monday night into Tuesday. So while it is certainly going to be well below freezing tonight and it is going to be dangerously cold, the actual coldest temperatures are going to be Sunday night and Monday night. Now taking a look at the forecast ice accumulations, this hasn't changed a whole heck of a lot for what we've been looking at over the last couple of days. We're still looking at between about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch. There may be a few spots across central Louisiana that end up seeing up to 3/4 of an inch. That's going to be in some fairly localized locations, but anything more than about 1/4 of an inch, you're starting to look at real significant impacts, road closures, power outages, and the like. So by the time you get to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, that's going to be pretty much shut everything down type of situation. So we are expecting some significant road closures and power outages across parts of central Louisiana up towards the Alexandria area, and then rural parts of Rapides Parish, Voiles Parish, Vernon Parish, northern parts of Jasper and Newton County, as well as Tyler County. But you see there's a pretty sharp gradient. There's a pretty sharp drop-off in the ice accumulation totals as you get further to the south. By the time you get down towards Lake Charles, we're expecting less than 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulation in the Lake Charles area. Same thing over towards Lafayette. The bright yellow there that kind of is the bottom of the colored scale here is 1/10 of an inch. So if you're not highlighted in any of these, we're generally expecting less than 1/10 of an inch in those areas. Now, 1/10 of an inch is still enough to cause some road closures, especially bridges and overpasses, but it's not likely to result in real widespread power outages. There could be a few, but the power outages or the widespread power outages and the significant road closures are going to be confined to those areas of higher overall ice accumulation. Keep in mind, though, that this is, even though we're just hours away from the freezing rain really getting underway, there is still a lot of uncertainty. Just like we can't predict the exact amount of rain any individual location is going to get in advance, it's the same thing with ice. I can't tell you exactly how much we're going to get in Alexandria, exactly how much we're going to get here in Lake Charles. It's very possible that just depending on where these little showers line up and how they move, that these ice accumulation totals could be higher or lower, and sometimes significantly so, than what's being indicated here. You see this graphic, it's kind of pretty, it's kind of linear. You see how it makes sense from a south to north. Weather doesn't always operate like that. You're going to get pockets of higher ice accumulation totals. So some areas are going to see significantly more, while some are going to see significantly less. That's what gives everybody the ability to come back and tell meteorologists that they're wrong, because we weren't necessarily wrong. We just might have been wrong for you or one particular spot. But everybody thinks that meteorologists are wrong whenever they don't get exactly what is advertised for their particular location. That's what we've learned to live with our job. Anyway, we're expecting this activity to turn over to freezing rain sometime this evening. We'll see those temperatures begin to drop below freezing across parts of central Louisiana as early as perhaps about 4 p.m. this afternoon, and then gradually spreading south through the evening and overnight. So the most likely timing for freezing rain is going to be essentially from midnight through Sunday morning, through about 8 a.m. or thereabouts Sunday morning. That's when the majority, excuse me, of the freezing rain for our area is going to occur. Now, there will be some lingering showers go further east or further out in time to as late as Sunday evening, but the majority of the activity is going to be roughly from about midnight tonight through about 8 or 9 a.m. Sunday morning, and then just little sporadic pockets of rain here or there through the rest of Sunday afternoon into early Sunday evening. This is a look at our forecast ice accumulation totals as it breaks down time-wise, and this kind of illustrates what I just said there. Most of the activity is going to be after midnight tonight through 8 or 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning. You can see that's when the highest ice accumulation totals are, with just some lower ice accumulation of maybe a tenth of an inch or so or less this evening going into tonight. So the vast majority of the activity will be after midnight tonight into early Sunday morning. This is a look at our actual probabilities of precipitation. This is southeast Texas, and I'll show southwest Louisiana next, but you can see very high rainfall probabilities. Obviously, we looked at the radar just a moment ago. That pans out pretty well. We're looking at 80 to 90%, close to 100% probabilities as we went through the morning. You can see those probabilities come down a little bit as we go through the evening this evening, 60 to 70%. So we're not going to expect quite as widespread amount of precipitation as that freezing rain begins to transition over. But you can see very high precipitation chances early Sunday morning. And we talked about just a minute ago, that's when the highest freezing rain accumulation is going to be. So you see the 60 to 80% chance of rain there early Sunday morning. Then those probabilities really drop off by about noontime and through the afternoon. Still a low-end chance for a few spotty showers of freezing rain, but most of the activity will be gone by late Sunday morning into early Sunday afternoon. Looking at southwest Louisiana, you're looking at very similar kind of probabilities as far as the timing goes. So we're looking at very high probabilities through the afternoon and evening, really ramping up after midnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, and then dropping off by early to mid-afternoon on Sunday. Same thing for this is north of Highway 190. You can see pretty much the exact same type of time frame regarding the precipitation. So this is a look at the latest probabilities for measurable ice accumulation. These are getting to be a little bit less useful now that we actually have the event underway, but we're still looking at very high probabilities of some ice accumulation across parts of central Louisiana and interior southeast Texas. That is often the case. As we get closer in time, we see those probabilities really begin to rise, but we've already seen a few reports of freezing rain across Jasper, so those probabilities are already kind of being verified. But just the general trend continues to be the highest overall probabilities of precipitation are across central Louisiana, with lower overall precipitation as you get further south towards the coastline. We'll pass that up. We already talked about that. If somebody has a question about it, how freezing rain forms, we'll come back to it. We are still looking at near record, if not record low temperatures as we go through, especially not necessarily tonight and tomorrow morning, but Sunday night into Monday morning, and again Monday morning into Tuesday morning. Both nights will have the potential to break records at pretty much all of our climate sites, with temperatures in the teens and wind chills down in the single digits. This is a look at the latest, it's not hour by hour, this is a 6-hourly forecast, but it gives you an idea of what we're expecting in terms of temperatures going through not just the next couple of days, but really through the rest of the week. And you can see we're looking at freezing temperatures every night of the week this week. We are going to be at or below freezing pretty much across the entire region for every day through the upcoming week. And then guess what? As we get into next Friday, we're going to have another cold front come through, bring another Arctic air mass in, and that's going to keep us below freezing through next weekend. So expect freezing temperatures pretty much every night through at least next Sunday, if not early next week. We're talking 8-9 days in a row of sub-freezing temperatures. The coldest nights, again, are going to be Sunday night into early Monday morning, and again, Monday night into Tuesday morning. You can see those actual temperatures in the lower 20s to upper teens, mid-teens, Monday night into Tuesday morning. So those are going to be the lowest overall for for temperatures, and any ice that develops from this freezing rain is going to stick around through that, because in a lot of cases, we're only going to get to right at freezing. Look at your high temperatures for Sunday, low to mid 30s at best. Same thing for Monday, low to mid 30s. So we're not going to spend a lot of time above freezing before quickly dropping below freezing. Again, that's going to not give that ice a lot of time to melt off wherever it happens to form. We are going to be looking at some very breezy conditions this afternoon into this evening. That's going to continue pretty much all day tomorrow, as well into at least the first half of the day Monday. You can see those wind gusts 20, 25 miles an hour. And once we add in those those winds, we get those feels like temperatures, the wind chill in the single digits Sunday night into Monday, and again Monday night into Tuesday. So it is going to feel even colder than the actual temperatures. This is going to be dangerously cold conditions across the region, and that is pretty much going to be the case for at least through Tuesday for those dangerously cold conditions. You do not want to be outside in this without proper clothing, jackets, layers, and same thing for your pets. A lot of people have asked me to not forget about mentioning the pets. If you have an opportunity to shelter your pet in any way, even if it's normally an outdoor dog, cat, rabbit, ferret, whatever the case may be, whatever your pet of choice is, as long as it's not a cow. Cows can traditionally handle temperatures that are colder than most animals, but most pets, most farm animals are going to need some kind of protection from these types of temperatures, because we are talking about very, very cold temperatures across the region for the next several nights. I'm just kind of going through this as I'm talking here. Again, we're looking at those wind chill values in the lower teens to upper single digits Sunday night into Monday. And again, Monday night into Tuesday for Southeast Texas, same thing. We're looking at our regular low temperatures in the teens for the same time period. And then gusty winds also yielding wind chill values, those feel like temperatures in the single digits. So looking at the time expected below freezing, we're looking, this goes from essentially late this afternoon through noon on Sunday. So we're going to be dropping below freezing very early this evening, so right around sunset or maybe an hour or two before. So parts of central Louisiana, even down towards as far south as northern Jefferson County, you're going to be spending significant amounts of time below freezing tonight. So that's pipe-busting weather for the northern part of our area here in central Louisiana. You can see anywhere from 8 to 10 hours below freezing up that way. Closer to the coast, Lake Charles, Lafayette, we are going to get below freezing tonight, but it's not going to be for quite as long as we're going to see further to the north. Now, going into tomorrow afternoon through Monday afternoon, we're going to be looking at very long duration periods below freezing. You can see anywhere from 12 to as much as 20 hours below freezing. And this is going to not only affect pipes, but again, it's going to prevent or limit how much that ice can melt off by staying below freezing for a long period of time. Same thing as we go into, let's go. Did this go? Yeah, it did. Okay. Same thing going from Monday afternoon through Tuesday about noontime. We're looking at another, anywhere between 12 up to 21 hours below freezing Monday into Tuesday, and then Tuesday into Wednesday, a little bit lower in terms of total hours, but we're still looking at pipe busting weather, 6 to as many as 15 hours below freezing for Tuesday into Wednesday. So yeah, a long duration period of below freezing temperatures, and that's not the end of it. Again, we're going to be below freezing every night this week and through next weekend and probably through early the following week. So this is going to continue a long duration period of two Arctic air masses at least that are going to be in place across the region, keeping us well below normal for temperatures and near record-breaking temperatures for at least a couple of nights. So impacts of freezing rain, we're still expecting a layer of ice on roads leading to a loss of traction, especially those bridges and overpasses. That's going to happen much more. The bridges and overpasses are going to freeze first, but roads are going to become impassable faster across parts of central Louisiana. We could be looking at hazardous road conditions by as early as this evening. Ice, we do expect some accumulation on power lines as well as trees. Trees will then fall onto power lines, causing power outages if the power lines don't fall themselves, because ice is very heavy and it will be yanking down on both those trees and power lines. So we do expect power outages where we see any kind of significant amount of ice accumulation, more than about 1/10 of an inch. And then, of course, anywhere that we do see significant ice accumulation, we're going to see glaze developing on vehicles. Any vehicles that are not covered are going to have the potential to see a glaze of ice on their windshields, potentially icing doors shut. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you can get your vehicle covered, it would be in your best interest to do so. So that's what we have here this morning from the National Weather Service. If you have any questions, we go through our, well, as we already went through our briefing here, but if you do have any questions, feel free to post them in our comment section. I'll be happy to answer them here over the next little while. This is going to be a little bit of an abbreviated question and answer session because I've got a lot more on my plate today that I've got to go take care of, getting the actual forecast out. So I'm not going to be able to stick around for too long, but I will answer as many of your questions as I can over the next few minutes. So feel free to throw them in there. If not, we are going to plan on doing another one of these. We'll do the same time, 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. At that point, most of the ice, whatever happens to occur, should have likely occurred by that point. There may be still some ice ongoing, but we'll give you an update at that point on what we've seen, what we may still continue to see, and also those very cold temperatures at that point. So let me go ahead and see if we do have any questions here. Give me just a moment. And if you did post a question towards the beginning of the briefing, I may not be able to see it. So go ahead and throw it in there again if you're still with me, and I'll be happy to answer the question. Shirley says, do you think there will be major problems for the Jasper, Newton, Texas area tomorrow? Well, considering we're already starting to see some reports of freezing rain up that way, I think that is going to be a possibility. Now, we're looking at, let me come back to my ice accumulation graphic here. Got to go all the way back, back. Okay. So there you go. You're looking at on the high side, on the kind of the worst case scenario, up to 3/4 of an inch. That would be pretty devastating to the electrical grid as well as road closures. On the lower end, you're probably looking at 1/4 of an inch or thereabouts. That's still going to be enough for some pretty significant road closures and also probably some pretty widespread power outages. So yes, I do expect some significant impacts across Jasper and Newton. Natalie's got good advice here. For any questions about roads and travel, contact your local government pages, sheriff, emergency prep, etc. They'll know more than Donald will. Yes, they will. Absolutely, they will. And there are web pages that have real-time road closure updates if you need to check before you do have to head out. The Texas DOT has their own, I want to say it was Travel Texas or something. Somebody posted it yesterday. You can Google it, I'm sure. But there are real-time road closure information. For Louisiana, it's 511la.org for the latest road information. Natalie also says most schools are closed Mondays. See your local school pages for Tuesday updates. Donald won't know. Donald generally does not know. Donald does know that that most of the schools in Southwest Louisiana have canceled classes Monday, but I can't give you the exact the numbers of them. I don't have them in my head, other than I know Calcasieu is closed, and I know that McNeese is closed. Okay, let's see here. Just running through the questions. This is what you call dead air when I'm reading instead of talking. Natalie's just full of good advice this morning. Remember, if you need electricity for medical equipment, use generators wisely and stay safe. Pre-prep in case of power outages, which hopefully you've already done. But if not, then most areas still have an opportunity to do so, although you might be traveling through the rain if you have to go outdoors to do that. But yeah, most areas there is still an opportunity to prep here for another few hours. Said, should we run both hot water and cold water or just cold? I got this question yesterday, and I need to talk to a plumber directly and get a more assured answer. So if there are any plumbers watching out there, feel free to chime in. But to my knowledge, your hot and cold lines are separate lines. So you do want to run both of them. It just has to be a trickle, but you do want to run both of them to keep both lines moving. Natalie also says, remember that Tonys can technically be used to salt your steps to prevent dangerous falls. That's right. We had that discussion, I think, yesterday. Tonys can technically be used. It's just a really expensive way to go about it. Amanda says, make sure to open y'all's cabinets under your sink as well. That's good advice as far as keeping pipes from freezing, because a lot of times your cabinet is up against your wall, and if there's not a lot of insulation between that wall and the outside, that air will seep in. By opening your cabinets, you're letting some of the warm air from your house get in there, and that'll keep temperatures from freezing. Yes, that's good advice. All right, Natalie, now we're going off the rails a little bit here. Remember, how you choose to stay warm could cause a baby shower before October. I'm going to leave that alone, but, you do you, whatever keeps you warm. Courtney asks, what are your thoughts on the bridges in the Lake Charles area in the coming days? It's just going to depend on exactly how much ice we actually see, and how much water from today's rain gets stuck on there. There is a legitimate possibility that the bridges in the Lake Charles area could be closed. I'm not promising that that's going to happen or that it's not going to happen, but there is a legitimate risk that they could be. Emily asked about how much ice accumulation do you think in Alexandria? Let's see, let me go full screen here for this. So generally we're forecasting between about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. I think the 3/4 of an inch that's being shown on this graphic here that might be a little high. But I'm pretty confident that at least 1/4 of an inch across Alexandria, somewhere between 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch seems most likely at this point. And that would cause some significant impacts. That would definitely be enough to close roads. That would definitely be enough to cause power outages. Gary asks, is there any chance of thunder sleet in the Lafayette area? Well, first you got to get sleet. I don't think there's going to be a lot of sleet with this system. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but this is mainly going to be a freezing rain type of an event more so than sleet. There may be a little bit of sleet mixed in. Could there be some thunder with it? Maybe. I mean, that's something that's not really predictable. It does happen, but it's not something that we really forecast. Eben asked, do you believe the Toledo Bend Reservoir could create lake effect snow even if it's light? I know it's capable of doing so because we've seen it do so before. Is it going to do it in this case? No, because we're not, again, this is not a snow environment. This is not really a sleet environment. There's a fairly sizable layer of warm air off the surface of the ground right now, and that is preventing snow and or sleet rather than freezing rain, and that's going to continue to be the case. So no, I don't expect lake effect snow off of Toledo Bend, although that has happened at times in the past. It's not something we really think about a lot around here, but lake effect snow is possible in this part of the world too. But you also have to have the wind going in the right direction, basically kind of north-northwest right across the lake. I see a lot of people asking me if the bridges and or roads are going to be open in the morning. I can't say for sure because it's going to depend on exactly how much ice we see. I wish I could give you an exact a right answer, but I can't. It's important that I tell you what I do know and what I don't know. We're giving you our best forecast as far as ice accumulation. If this forecast were to verify exactly, and we look at less than 1/10 of an inch of accumulation in Lake Charles, then the bridge would probably stay open. But a little bit more than that would close the bridge. So I can't say with any certainty. I would be prepared for it to be closed, though. Same thing. I've got a lot of people asking about roads. I'm traveling from here to there. Are the roads going to be safe? Generally speaking, along I-10, you have a high chance that the roads are going to stay open. I'm not saying that they will with certainty, but you have a high chance that they're going to stay open. If you're up towards Alexandria, Fort Polk, Jasper, Woodville, those areas, any of those roads in those areas are more likely to be closed. Mason's asking about Leesville. Leesville, you're kind of in that between a quarter and a half inch of ice expected. So we are expecting significant ice accumulation in the Leesville area, and that will likely result in road closures and power outages in Leesville. Jason's asking about Orange, Texas. Orange, Texas, we're expecting significantly less ice accumulation, so generally a tenth of an inch or less. If that verifies correctly, then we'll be looking at probably minimal power outages and minimal road closures. Benny said, yeah, there's that's Texas's real-time road condition site, drivetexas.org. Thank you, Benny. And here is Louisiana's. It's 511la.org. So if you're in Texas, it's drivetexas.org. If you're in Louisiana, it's 511la.org. And you can check on the real-time road conditions. I promise you, it's going to be much more reliable than asking me if the roads are going to be closed. Dazzle says, how bad is Beauregard going to get? Beauregard is going to be it's going to be an interesting scenario because South Beauregard and North Beauregard may wind up with significantly different amounts of ice accumulation. You can see on the graphic here, Northern Beauregard is kind of in that quarter inch plus for ice accumulation, and Southern Beauregard is going to be more closer to a tenth to a quarter. This is, again, it's a very tight, what we call gradient. There's going to be a very narrow swath between areas that receive a lot of ice and areas that receive very little to no ice. It's just going to be a question of exactly where that sets up. Right now, it looks like it's going to be somewhere across Beauregard Parish. So with that said, I'd be prepared for a decent amount of between a tenth and a quarter of an inch across, say, DeRidder. And then as you get closer to Ragley, we're looking at possibly a little bit less. Either way, there likely will be at least some power outages across Beauregard. Janet says Northern County / parishes emergency management are reporting that this moved in faster and colder than predicted. Are you seeing this trend? No, this is about, actually, when I walked in this morning, I was like, yeah, this is about where we said was going to happen. For our area, we were not expecting a whole lot in the way of freezing rain during the day today. That has proved to be the case, although there's been a few reports of some brief periods of freezing rain up towards Jasper and parts of central Louisiana. But weren't expecting the majority of the freezing rain to happen until this evening. That's been the case so far. It is very cold up further north across North Louisiana. They've been dealing with freezing rain since this morning. I'm not sure if that was what they had forecasted. Frankly, I've been focusing on our area too much to kind of take too close of a look as to what they were doing up that way. But as far as our forecast, it's working out so far how we expected it to. Donna asks, are we just about done with the rain today? No, we are not. It's going to rain on and off pretty much all day and then all evening, and then we're going to get that transition over to freezing rain, and that's going to continue through most of the night. You can see there is probably going to be a little bit of a break. You can see the swath of liquid precipitation there, kind of getting out of southeast Texas for the moment, but there is going to be more redevelopment of this as we go through the evening this evening. So no, we're not just about done with the rain. Amy says, McNeese is virtual Monday. That means homework. It does. And these days, virtual classrooms is the worst thing that ever happened to snow days. Jeremy says, is Ville Platte out of the freezing rain threat? No, not completely. Now, the forecast accumulations for Ville Platte are generally less than a tenth of an inch, but it's very possible you could still see some. So I'm not going to say you're out of the freezing rain threat. Lois asks, will it be raining Tuesday morning going to Sulphur from DeQuincy? No, the rain should be over with by Tuesday. In fact, the rain should be over with by Sunday evening. Jason says, I'm 18 and I take care of my mom. She's bedridden. How about Orange, Texas? Orange, Texas is going to be potentially looking at anywhere between none and up to 1/10 of an inch. I don't expect there's going to be widespread power outages across Orange or widespread road closures, but there could be a few of both, depending on exactly how much ice you wind up getting. Natalie can't believe I read her comment. You'd be amazed at the things I read live on air. Don't tempt me. I keep things entertaining. Let's see. Barbara is asking about inches of ice for Lumberton, please. Well, I think area-wide, we're generally expecting less than an inch. So it's not a matter of inches. It's a matter of quarters of inches or tenths of inches. As far as Lumberton goes, you're probably going to be looking at somewhere between 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. John says, is there a timeline for possible icing in Evangeline Parish? You're wearing a jacket. I'm shocked. Well, as I said at the top of the broadcast, I'm wearing a jacket because it's like 50 degrees in this room right now because our air conditioner has been on the fritz for a long time. So it thinks it's August rather than January. So it's blowing at full blast right now. And so, yeah, it is cold in this building. As far as the timeline for the ice, this is not necessarily specific to Evangeline Parish, but this is just kind of in general. We're going to be looking at the freezing rain really ramping up probably anytime after 4 p.m. this evening. The majority of the ice is going to occur after midnight tonight through about 9 a.m. Sunday morning. That's going to be the time frame for probably about, we'll call it probably 70-ish% of the ice accumulation. That's when it's going to occur. And then there will be a few leftover showers left through late Sunday morning, through Sunday afternoon, and possibly even into early Sunday evening. But again, the vast majority of the ice, if it's going to occur, it's going to be between about midnight and 9 a.m. Sunday morning. This kind of gives you a little bit different view of kind of the same thing we were just talking about. This is the ice accumulation broken down by 6-hour period. So you can kind of see the time frame, again, midnight through about a little after 6. I've been calling it about 9 a.m. For the majority of that, the freezing rain and the ice accumulation. That's what we're looking at. Tarsha says, I don't know if you'll answer this, but don't we have another one coming next weekend? We have another cold front coming next weekend. Whether there's any winter precipitation with it or not, that still kind of remains to be seen. There are some computer models that are showing another round of winter weather, but we're talking still 7 days away, so we're not putting a lot of faith in that yet. We're pretty confident there is going to be another cold front. There is going to be another strong Arctic air mass, so we are going to still be looking at freezing temperatures into next weekend. Whether there's any precipitation associated with that, that still kind of remains to be seen. Stacy says, is this the ice line of uncertainty instead of the cone? Yeah, you can kind of look at it that way. And it's the same thing when we talk about hurricanes. We start talking about rainfall totals and stuff like that. There's a lot of uncertainty with that because it depends on exactly where those individual storms go. I mean, look at this radar here, and you tell me exactly where. You've got to look at this individual little shower here that's producing heavy rain, and you've got to decide 3 days ahead of time exactly which path that little storm is going to take. That's impossible to do, unfortunately. So. And the difference is that heavy rain producing storm is going to have much higher rainfall totals than a rain around it. So that's what makes forecasting rainfall totals and ice accumulation so difficult, is that it depends on the individual cells themselves and exactly where they wind up trekking. And meteorology just isn't that exact to pinpoint those cells. It's gotten better. We have gotten better with forecasting the development of storm cells like that. But the exact track, the exact intensity, we're not there yet. So this is I don't want to call it an estimate, it's a forecast, but it is subject to change and it's not going to be exact. Lake Texas says, could it be possible that there would be snow or sleet? There may be a little bit of sleet mixed in. We're not expecting any snow. And even the sleet, I think, is going to be pretty minimal. This is mainly going to be a freezing rain event. Dolson says it's just a cold rain in Bunkie right now. It's just a cold rain pretty much everywhere. There was a few reports of some light freezing rain across Jasper, and there is freezing rain kind of north of Alexandria right now and points further north into North Louisiana. But down here, pretty much everything we just saw on the radar there is all liquid, cold, freezing rain. Or he says, just wondering what day you start talking about possible winter weather next week. Generally, we usually we start to reliably think about winter weather maybe 4-ish, 5-ish days in advance. So once we get this out of here, by the time we get into maybe Tuesday, we can start realistically talking about the potential for winter weather next weekend. Jason says, okay, bye. Bye. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you later. Marty says, thank you for all your updates. You're quite welcome. Janet says, so be off the roads in Beaumont by 4 or 5 p.m. today. That would be the most safe or the most cautious approach. I'm not necessarily saying that that roads are going to be hazardous by 5 o'clock this evening. Again, the majority of the freezing rain is going to be after midnight tonight. But as those temperatures fall below freezing, we are going to see this liquid rain potentially, or the puddles, any kind of water that's left on the roads will begin to freeze. Now, it's not an instantaneous process, obviously. It takes a few hours for water to freeze. And the bigger your puddle is, the bigger your body of water is, the longer it's going to take to freeze. But it will start by about that time. Tabitha says all the listed areas skip an entire section between Oakdale, Eunice, and Lake Charles that never gets covered. The reason for that is because we wind up with a situation where they're on top of each other, or we wind up with too many little towns and cities. I would love to be able to tell every person what's going to happen at their house exactly, but unfortunately the meteorology is not that accurate, and unfortunately that would create way too many slides. We'd be here all day. Just to try to get through everybody. So that's why we have to kind of pick and choose. We try to choose the bigger metropolitan areas where we can, or, well, I wouldn't call some of these areas metropolitan areas, but the bigger population centers, if you will. So I apologize if your particular town or city is not on here, if it's not explicitly covered. My advice is to just try to find whatever one is closest to you and use that as a proxy for what you can expect, because it will be very close. There's not going to be a huge difference between one town and one that's 10 or 15 miles away. Fred asks, what do you see along with power outages in Leesville? Power outages are going to be a possibility. Road closures are going to be a possibility. Those are going to be the two big impacts that we're going to see. And then we could potentially see some tree damage from the weight of the water on the trees. But power outages and road closures are going to be the two big things that are going to affect people directly. Olson asked, when is the next live update? We're going to do another one tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. All right, I've reached the bottom of my questions list here. I'm not ignoring all of the questions about I'm traveling from here to there and what about this place, that place, and the other place. I've got the map up there for a reason, so hopefully you can find yourself. I can't go through every one. There's just too many people asking about individual locations that we'd be here all day if I tried to answer them. So I'm not ignoring you. I take it back. I am ignoring you. But it's not malicious, I promise you. It's just that, we've got to get through as much information as possible. And actually, I've got to get out of here because I've got to get back to a forecast that's due out here momentarily. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. If you have a question that I missed, whether it be about a location or whatever the case may be, feel free to send us a direct message on Facebook, on our webpage or our Facebook page. You can also message us on X. You can also message us on Instagram. You can also email me directly. My email is on your screen right there in the bottom right-hand corner. If you would like, it's donald.jones@noaa.gov, and I will answer your question just as soon as I'm able. I do have to prioritize, warnings and the actual forecast itself, but as I get some time, I will answer your questions as quickly as I can. You can also give us a call here. Our number on the bottom of the screen as well, 337-477-5285. Now, those are only business hour numbers, so they may actually be turned off here at the moment. But during the week, you can actually give us a call if you do have any questions that way. Otherwise, message us on social media, message me on my email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Again, we're going to do another one of these tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., so we'll have another update for you by that point. I think just about all of the ice accumulation should be just about over by that point, although there could be still a few showers around producing some freezing rain. But most of the activity should be done with by that point. And then we turn our attention to the extreme cold that we're going to be dealing with for the next couple of days. Everyone stay safe, stay dry, stay warm, stay off the roads tonight, especially if those road closures occur. Remember 511la.org and drivetexas.org for the real-time updates on roads. And we will talk to you again tomorrow morning, 11 a.m.